I'd like to welcome Alexander, the best looking in the company.
Again, my dad came here 17, no papers, nothing, making multiple six figures. If he's able to do it, I could do it. Why not?
If anybody ever asks me for help, I'm going to lend them a hand because it sucks being in my position where you need support y pues a veces no tienes quien te eche la mano.
That's pretty much my superpower, being able to close loan quick.
What would you say quick is?
So like 15 days.
So emotionally, it's on us as leaders. We as men are to assume that responsibility that like the provider. It's wise to have brothers that we can lean on as well. Pero no hay como tener a Dios, bro. Like you have to cast your worries on him. Family, I'd like to welcome Alexander, the best looking Alexander of them all in the company. He has an amazing story. He was a couple grand. What is it? We've been in the family about 2 years, a little bit over 2 years.
Yeah, it just hit 2 years, the end of February.
Amazing. And was a couple grand shy of hitting your first six figures in the company. And we'll talk about that because there's a lot of people that are starting off in the business, and that's the ultimate goal, to hit our first six figures. And that should be the goal for a lot of us. And then it's the 150s, the 200s, and so on and so forth. De para arriba. The sky's the limit. Pero estábamos hablando about your upbringing.
Yeah.
And we want to hear about who Alex is. Tell us what you would love to share about you growing up. But then when you got to high school, college, a paradigm shift that kind of changed your life, got you to decide, like, you know what, I'm going to quit fucking around, get my shit together. But I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, pretty much thinking about my story, I thought I was just like a normal person. I had two parents. Thankfully, my mom stayed home. My dad is in the real estate business, so he was making enough income to support, the family. So I had a pretty good life, I think. We always had food on the table.
Middle class?
Middle class.
Yo también.
So when I hear other people's stories, I just feel like my story isn't like, I was like, dude, people are going
drastic.
Yeah, I was
like
like, dude, like my story's
yeah,
not as bad as that. But yeah, so pretty much I had a pretty good life. But when actually '08 crashed, I was like 10. And my dad just recently bought like a pretty big house in like the country club.
Oh, wow.
In Buena Park.
Nice.
And he was going through it because, again, like no one was
real estate.
Real estate was going bad, and we eventually had to sell it. And it was crazy because back then I didn't really understand why. But my mom would tell me, she was like, do you remember when you will always be embarrassed when I had a bag of quarters and I was paying everything with quarters? But at the time, like they didn't have anything, and I always tell them like why are you carrying quarters?
Wow, you didn't know that?
I didn't know. I didn't know it, but now. Obviously, we learn about the crash like when we're older, and I understand. And we had to go from a big house to live into an apartment.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we lived in an apartment.
Did you feel it? Like, did you?
It made me humble. I think more humble. I didn't say I was like, well, people say I was spoiled, but I think I took a lot of things for granted.
Yeah.
It made me realize being humble what you have. And I think the most important thing is, as long as you have a family, and we're always together, I think that's the most important thing. But it made me realize, like, damn, my dad was actually going through it. And he had to do a lot of sacrifices. And at the time, I didn't really know what was going on. But now, everything's better. He bought a house again. We helped him out, and stuff like that. But, yeah, then going to high school, just played, high school ball, soccer, all 4 years.
We need to go play again because when we did, we were both a little bit out of shape.
Yeah, I just always liked soccer. I played club, high school. At the point, I think junior year, I think that's when you kind of know if you're going to make it further or not. And I kind of realized, like, I don't think, maybe college, but I didn't have the grades to go to certain colleges. There was 2 colleges that wanted me, but I didn't have the grades for it. So I was going to go to community college, play soccer there. But that's when I started working, and then I was like, I kind of like, money.
Yeah.
Yeah, money. So the passion for soccer kind of drifted away. And then, I was just going to college, hanging out with my friends every weekend. We would just go out a lot, every single weekend. And we all worked at the same place.
Where'd you guys work?
We worked at a valet in front of Disneyland. It was a Marriott.
Valet. Oh, shit.
Yeah, so we were just,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's just cash. We'll get cash,
Tips.
Tips.
You'd see the nice cars come in from time to time.
Yeah, nice cars.
Uno de mis mejores amigos, a few years back also worked at valet, and he would always send me pictures of when he got an opportunity to sit in the nice car and park it.
Yeah.
And he would, flaunt it, put it on Snapchat.
Yeah, I think the nicest car was like a Bentley that I
Yeah.
drove, and I was like, oh shit, this is pretty
Pretty
crazy.
sick.
Yeah, then I was just going through life. Didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
My dad always wanted me to get into real estate. He tried to convince my brother and sister to do it.
They didn't?
They didn't do it.
Wait, remind me the ages. I think your sister's older.
Yeah, my sister's the oldest.
Okay, and then?
She's 30, and my brother just turned 29,
Okay, so they're both older.
and then I'm 27. Yeah, so they didn't want to do it. And I kind of asked them why, and they were saying like they didn't like the fact that he was always working, which is kind of crazy because since I feel like real estate's been in my life the whole time. Because I also have an uncle that's in the business, and he does really good for himself too. So at the time before, it made me realize my dad was always there at the most important times of my life. So anything for school, club soccer, like championship games, like he'll be there. But he wasn't there like every single game.
Yeah.
And there are certain times, even when we take vacation, I know my sister will sometimes get like a little upset. It's like, why are you always answering phone calls and stuff? So at the time, they said that's the reason why they didn't want to join. And then for me, I was kind of like, I don't know, like the checks are nice. He always shows me the checks. So I was in high school. He's like, oh, look, here's another check. Boom, boom.
¿De cuánto eran?
It'll be like $20,000, $30,000 checks.
Wow.
I was like, oh, shit. And then,
That would definitely mess with me.
yeah, so I was like, oh, shit, it's actually...
Bro, when I was growing up, my parents would tell me that if I landed a job where I would get paid $30 an hour, then I was good.
Okay.
No, hombre, si hubiera mirado yo algo de 20, 30,000, I would have said, that's it.
Yeah. So,
pretty
but
crazy.
it was like, yeah, I don't know. Like at the time, I was like, that's a lot of money, but it didn't really, like, gave me the attention to like, oh, I want to do real estate. I think I was also having that same mindset of my sister. It's like, well, he's always like working.
Yeah.
He's never fully there. He's fully present. He's always on his phone. But then in college, I was majoring in finance, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I have a cousin also that he's a financial advisor, but he went to college, and I do look up to him. So I'm just gonna do what he does, and he just told me, he's all like, I went to school, finance. You don't really need a degree to do
What he does?
What he does, but he's all like, just do it. I was like, okay. I was doing it, and then my dad started hinting like, hey, why don't you just join real estate? And I was like, okay. So I started taking my real estate classes, and at the time he gave Mike Ferry.
Yeah.
So he always has that Vegas trip.
Training.
So I went, and I was meeting a bunch of realtors in his company, and then everyone was telling me, just finish school. He's like, you have your whole life to work. He's like, just finish school. You're almost done. And I was like, okay. COVID hit, and that's when I was getting unemployment and everything, and that's when my dad told me, he's like, why don't you try mortgages? That's when I got introduced to mortgages. So he's you're majoring in finance. He's
Makes sense.
He's it's easy. He's all you do is plug in numbers and you get paid. I was like, oh shoot, really?
Okay, he says.
Yeah. I was like, oh, perfect, sign me up. And yeah, it wasn't it. So that's how I got introduced to.
So I know your dad. We'll talk about the family in a little bit because they're amazing. I really, really like them. I've stayed at his place a couple times. But it wasn't always like that. At first, I remember they were a little skeptical when you were going to look to make a change.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that and what changed in these past few years.
Yeah, so my dad's pretty known at the area he's in, so like Norwalk Downey area. So who I was working for, he was like one of the top lenders in that area.
Yeah.
So when I told him I'm gonna make a switch, he was asking me what company. I was like, oh, it's this new company, Next Gen, but his name's Andy Samora. He's pretty young, but the culture looks amazing. The people's there, and plus, like, I know someone from high school that's in the team, and he told me great things about it. He's all like, is there an office? I was like, here, no. In SoCal, there isn't. There's one up in Modesto. He's like, Modesto. He's all like, who is this guy? I was like, I don't know much about him, but it looks like he's doing really good. It looks like what they're building seems it's gonna go far, and I want to be part of it. So he was just very skeptical about joining, and then he was like, well, it's your career, it's your life, I'm going to support you, but you could do whatever you want, but I recommend you either staying where you're at, or I could refer you to another preferred lenders that are pretty good in the area. Which I did interview, but it didn't click. And then obviously I talked to you, I talked to Gil. I was like, yeah, this is it. Yeah.
So what changed there? Like, ¿qué te dicen now?
Oh, they love it. They love you.
The team and everybody.
They love the team.
But what? Like, what caused that?
The culture. So we have the Thanksgiving
Dinner.
And I brought them. And they met Mari, they met you, they met pretty much everyone. And they just love how it's a family. Like, everyone looks like they really care for each other, and everyone's looking for everyone's best interest. And he said that's the most important thing that you could find. He said, especially in this industry, there's a lot of people that just think about themselves. And finding something like that is super rare, especially in this industry.
Yeah, it's typically a solo sport.
Yeah.
Y el motivo por el cual me aseguré de enforzar esta cultura, like for people to be the way that we all are, is because that's what I craved. That's what I wish I had when I joined. Mm-hmm. It's like, man, everybody's busy, bro. Like, can someone help me calculate income? I don't want to fuck this deal up. Y dije, man, it'd be so dope to have people lend a hand. I understand there's a lot of money to be made, and like, you helping me doesn't make you any money, and it's costing you an opportunity to go out and prospect where like those activities get you paid pretty high. But that would be fucking dope. And I'm like, if anybody ever asks me for help, I'm going to lend them a hand. Because it sucks being in my position where you need support y pues a veces no tienes quien te eche la mano. And when people started asking about like, hey, pues I'm interested in what you do, I always looked for that quality. De que la gente estuviera genuinamente invested in lending a hand if people ever asked.
Yeah.
And now it's a big ass family. It's hard to promote that. As amazing as Danny is, it's hard to capture the love, the genuine love.
Yeah.
And it's not till people come in and they're like, oh shit. Like, I think that's how Danny joined. Danny saw how we all got along. He saw it in one event. Then he helped us in a different location. I think it was like, primero era tal vez San Diego, Modesto, y luego a unos cuantos, y dijo, oh shit, they're always like this. And all of them, oh yeah, I need to be around this. So yeah, I think it's pretty dope. Porque pues también a veces uno no quiere decepcionar a los papás if like that's, that's where we go back to every night. But how much has life changed in the past few years? Because we could talk, I'd love to talk about how you started in the mortgage business. And then este año ya se miró que agarraste vuelo. But how did we get here?
So I started off as like an LOA. So I think that's what helped me a lot, especially when I joined you guys.
Yeah.
Because the guy I was working for, he was closing a good amount of loans per month. But we were still able to get them closed, but it was a lot of things that like mini errors learning. And I think in this business, unfortunately, that's the way we learn the most is when we fail, because you learn all the things that you're not supposed to do. So when I joined, it pretty much got smooth sailing. At first, it was hard because all I knew was the back end.
Yeah.
And didn't really know a lot about the sales part.
Yeah.
So when I joined, that was one thing that was like a really learning curve for me is the sales part. This year, started going a little bit better. And then, the loans just been closing quick that I didn't think like I could ever close that quick. But I'm like, oh shit. Yeah,
so you hold the record, if I'm not mistaken, for the fastest loan from open escrow to funding. Yeah. So what's that record? Y ¿a qué se lo atribuyes? Like, how do you make that shit happen?
I think it was like 9 or 10 days escrow. And it's just prepping the file. And I actually got an award from UWM. I didn't even know, for closing like quick. And they gave me an award, but it's just prepping the file. And I think It's just being very paranoid about the situation. Make sure you're not going to mess up the file, and just asking so many questions and gathering everything up front. And just once in escrow, it's kind of smooth sailing from there. Yeah.
So, congratulations on that, brother. And we have some straight badasses in the company. Son bien chingones. Ya muchos de los LOs, they're pretty up there. And for you to have that record, it's pretty fucking impressive. And for UWM to recognize you for how quickly you get them to the finish line, I know the processors love you. But for real estate agents that don't know who you are, what would you say your superpower is as a loan officer?
Yeah, I think right now the main thing is closing quick, especially everyone's trying to get paid, and especially a lot of clients, they're trying to move into that house. So I think if we were able to do it quick, then we should promote it. And, that's pretty much my superpower, being able to close loan quick.
What would you say quick is? Like you feel comfortable letting your clients or your agents know, assuming there's nothing crazy going on with the file, with the client's scenario?
Yeah.
What would you feel comfortable promoting as like, hey, if you need a deal closed in X amount of days, like, I'm your guy?
Yeah, so like 15 days or less.
You feel comfortable closing loans in 15 days or less?
Yeah.
Savage. No, yeah. I don't want to talk about when I did loans. Yeah.
But I'll be the first one to tell the realtor if it's gonna take 30 days, it's gonna take 30 days. Because also it's like a team sport. So sometimes, like, if I see the client taking forever to send docs, it's gonna be like from the beginning. It's like, bro, we're not gonna close quick.
Yeah.
Like, these clients are not, proactive. So I'll be the first one to tell them if it's gonna take 30 days or less. So.
¿Qué tal este último año, bro? Miré tu 1099 and you were a couple grand shy from hitting your first 6 figures. How does that feel?
Made me realize it's not a lot of money that we think. Cause it's just not a lot, but I was a little disappointed in myself because that was one of my goals last year, was to hit the 6 figures. And I was just shy, and I was like, damn, if I could have worked a little bit more, made a little bit more calls, I probably could have hit it. But yeah. So
the goal was to hit 450 families last year, to help 450 families. We helped 432 or 434. Mi coach, bro, me dijo que if we set a goal and we hit 90% or get 90% to the finish line, consider it a W. Mm-hmm. Because they should be stretch goals. They should be something that's forcing you to do something that you've never done before. So I'd say give yourself a pat on the back, bro. And it's not a bad quality to be hard on yourself, pero hiciste un muy buen trabajo este año pasado, bro. ¿Qué tal este año? What's your goal for this year?
This year, the goal is to hit 200K. And then, nice. So doing the math on the loan volume that I usually do, I think it should be around, I think it was like 20, 30 loans. So
a lot of people would say, damn, 200,000 is a lot of money, bro. Like, I think you're tripping. What do you say to that? Because where I come from, bro, not many people can say that they're making 200,000.
I think it is a lot of money, but being in real estate like my whole life and seeing the amount of money that could be earned, I think it is a lot of money, but it's doable. So, again, my dad, he came here 17 with no papers, nothing. He's making multiple 6 figures. So in my head, it's like, he do it with no education, just hard work. Now I have resources. We have technology now. I just, if he's able to do it, I could do it. Why not? So
that's dope.
Yeah.
What do you got to say about the team and how they've helped you? What comes to mind?
So the team, we have pretty much anything that you want. Like, I already know who to hit if I'm struggling with something. So if it comes to like marketing, social media, most likely it's Justin or Fernandini. Structuring, being able to be very organized, systems. Also, I would think of Alex Martinez. Also,
who do you go for income?
Myself. I'm just kidding.
You're good?
Johnny boy.
Johnny boy?
Yeah.
How about business loans?
Business loans? Johnny. Like I-10 is the Maris, Damaris, I think she does a lot of iTunes loans, so I'll be calling her if I get iTunes clients, ask her what to ask and everything. So we have pretty much anything, like whatever you're struggling with, like someone's there, someone's good at it. So
¿Qué tal algunas otras metas importantes que tengas este año?
being closer to God, that's one thing. My parents, we went to church every Sunday growing up, but once I hit 18, he was like, you have the option now to go, because I recommend you going. And then ever since then, I just never went. And then joining the company, seeing you and Fernando a lot, talk about, God, it kind of made me realize, I was like, is this kind of like a sign for like to go back? And so little by little, I've been trying to get closer to God, and I think we're doing, what was it, the merge?
Emerge. It's going to be dope.
Yeah, we're doing
I'm
that.
really glad you're doing it. Danny's doing it too.
Yeah.
A couple guys are doing it.
So that's one major thing, that's get closer to God, because I think if we're closer to the man above, I think everything's going to be aligning in life. So
I have a friend. Well, I was talking to Alex, and we have a friend who is going through some challenges. Y pues muchos de nosotros, bro, as men, we're at some point going to be, God willing, married. We're going to have our kids. We're going to have our home, our cars, bunch of bills. And it's very unwise for us to think that we can carry that load on our own. Because what I learned last year at that conference was, if we as men are doing our job as the leaders of the household well, then it's on us for our marriage to be good. Like, we drive that. We're the leader. If the woman is, I don't know, emotionally unstable, like, we cannot allow that to sway us from being more emotionally stable and like doing what we have to do to make sure we can help not only regulate our emotional state, but like help influence theirs to calm her and like to be like, baby, I understand. Let's give each other. Bobby Castro and Sofia Castro taught us to give each other a little bit of space. Una hora, dice, if it's not divorce worthy, give yourself a little space. And una hora, I'm sure everybody's going to be a little calmer. So emotionally, it's on us as leaders. Financially, if our finances are good in our household, bro, we as men are to assume that responsibility that like, I'm the provider. You're supposed to help make this house a home. Like, it's not supposed to be that the woman is the one putting food on the table. In today's age, yeah, it's highly likely for women to contribute as well, and that's cool. But truthfully, it's for us to assume that responsibility. Parenting, if parenting is done correctly, we as leaders, our job is to develop and disciple our little ones. So it's on us. En pocas palabras, bro, todo cae en nuestros hombros. Like everything. And it's a big ass load. And when I was talking to Alex, we were talking about a friend that's going through it. And I'm like, bro, it's as men, we have to acknowledge that because God gifted us, the being men. But who do we lean on? It's wise to have brothers that we can lean on as well. Pero no hay como tener a Dios, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you have to cast your worries on Him. And I think it's the wisest thing for us to do. All of us. Todos los guys en la compañía. Y a mí me ha ayudado a limpiar muchos malos hábitos, bro. Like, it's made me really proud of the man I'm becoming.
Yeah.
Still a work in progress, but I'm really, really proud of the guy I look in the mirror.
Yeah. And I like it how in this company, like, everyone's really, like, they're like, everyone wants to be closer to God, and it seems like everyone's practicing. Because I remember when I first joined, I think we had a meeting in Modesto, and me, Justin, and Gil went to go eat. I didn't know you guys prayed before you ate. So we went to Denny's, and everyone got their food and started eating. And he's like, "You're praying." I was like, "Justin?" He's like, "You're praying." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you're praying." So I was like, "Oh shoot!" Like, everyone here is pretty
Yeah.
trying to get closer. Yeah.
estábamos en Phoenix with Carlos. I know you know Chris and another friend que se llama Ivan. And I've noticed a different type of men when they're closer to God. The convos seem to me it's like very attractive. Like I want to be like that. Because what I told Carlos, hey, you know what, bro? I have to tell you that why I'm attracted to you and what you're doing is nothing solely on like business. Como me vale madre lo del negocio, bro. Mm-hmm. I love that you're doing what you're doing as a businessman, but what I love and appreciate and I respect is that you also talk about family, talk about parenting, and you talk about faith. And that's something that you guys all have in common. And you almost have to be there. I mean, Danny was tripping out as well. All of us, bro, porque pues nos están dando consejos. And I've been emerged. I've been obsessed with this whole personal development, going to conferences, reading books, podcasts, all that shit. But when they mix in like biblical principles, bro, and if we think about it, the oldest literature, this is what got me. Jordan Peterson said the following. He's like, all you guys that are into personal development, different words, but this was a fucking point. He's like, all you guys that are into personal development and reading books and literature and all, you know, all that. Think about all the kings and queens and empires that there have existed in history, and none of them have withstood the test of time more than this little booklet, which is the Bible, which is the origin of all of today's literature. So all of the wisest, coolest, best things that we're reading, that for us is like, you know, like mind-blowing, a lot of it stems from the origin. So then it got me to think, well, qué tonto estar leyendo todo esto when all of it stems from this. Like, why not get curious about what's in there? Porque de ahí sale todo. So it made me realize, like, yeah, I need to get closer. Yeah. I need to learn. Yeah. Y cuando tienes a los Chris's of the world in your life, and then you start meeting other men who everything is amazing with business, parenting, marriage, but you add that like God factor, that to me is like the complete package. If you want to add health in there, that's also important too. But yeah, so I get really excited about all you guys transforming. I love that you're going to go to the event. Y sí, bro, tenemos muy buenos líderes en la compañía, Fernando being one of them. He helped me get closer.
Oh, really? When I joined, I thought it was you helped him, but it was opposite.
It was the other way. Yeah. I tell him that he inspired me to go. And I found emerge, or I found awaken. Yeah. Y se siente, pero donde empecé es aquí tal vez vayamos mañana, if you're available. Mm-hmm. We can go to Congregation Church, which is Tim Story's church.
The one right there in like Brea?
I think it's in Brea, yeah.
You're Belinda?
So empecé a ir ahí, pero inconsistente. Y eso es porque en las conferencias empecé a ver a Tim Story. And I was like, oh, I love that message. Y siempre en mi corazón tenía, like, in my conscious, when I did something that I know was not right, I always felt some type of way, like some type of pain, discomfort. Like I knew I was doing something wrong, but I did it anyways. And I'm curious to know if like some people don't have that discomfort. It's like, no, I had it, bro. I had it. Yeah. So it's, and truthfully, I always knew that there was going to be a day when I was going to surrender and I was going to be like, okay, I give up. Like, I'm done. I'm done being him. Y se siente chingón, por eso te digo. Like, it feels good. Yeah. And I think people could tell. And now, think of how many people we have in the company. ¿Cuántas son mujeres? You think that these many women would feel comfortable joining if, like, supieran que there are leaders out here, you know, fucking around?
Well, just God. Like, we do need God in our life. And overall, it's going to make us a better person. Because I think, I don't know if it was you or Fernando was telling me that the crazy thing for the Bible is like there's going to be a lot of messages that you read in the Bible that you're not gonna understand, but the reason is because you're not ready for that message yet.
Ooh.
God hasn't put that in. Once you're going through something and you read it, you're gonna understand that message. So I was just like, oh shoot, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. ¿Qué tal de estos últimos 2 años que has estado con nosotros? ¿Cómo ves cómo está transformándose el equipo, la compañía, the leaders? Like, what kind of changes have you seen that, I don't know, excites you?
A lot. I remember when I first joined, I didn't know it was like a startup, like the company. So, but now we're like, it looks like we're going like 10x everything. So I don't know. Could I see it? Like some
Yeah,
stuff,
go for
like
it.
logos,
Yeah.
new logos. Gonna have new like software, websites. The offices are gonna be decked out. So yeah, it's gonna be a whole different thing.
Yeah, se siente chingón, bro. Se siente muy chingón. Y verlos a ustedes que se están desarrollando más.
Yeah.
Because it's you guys that we plan on building under. You know, and Pat always told, he has a lot of videos. He's like, if you want to do something extraordinary, don't join the mature, established company. Don't join the sexy companies that are already, you know, these big mortgage companies, por decir. Join the startup where you align with the leaders, you align with the vision, become a leader, get some equity, and then you get cashed out. You know, assuming that there's a plan of an exit. And in this case, pues, that's a plan. So I love that you guys are developing because it's you that we plan on building teams under.
And that's the goal, you know.
¿Qué tal los dos problemas o los dos obstáculos más grandes que has enfrentado desde que empezaste en el negocio? Because there's a lot of people that follow us that are thinking of making career changes. And it's like, hey, mentalize. Like, this is the type of shit you guys are likely to encounter.
You're gonna have a lot more failures than wins, and learning how to cope with that is very hard. So being with the team, it was able to help. It's able to help me because again, it's very discouraging, especially like if you're not seeing like the progress. So that was one of like the biggest struggles for me when I joined. Because again, I was in the back end for like a couple years, and now it's like it's on me, and it's just like not. It wasn't what I was planning because obviously we have a game plan. Oh, by this time I'm gonna make this. By this time, but then when it's not going as planned and everything's like feel like it's falling apart, it can be very discouraging. So it's just again being around a group of people that are very positive minded and telling us it's part of the process. That's one thing, and I guess the other thing would be, I guess finding the right leader you want to become. So that's why when I saw you, there's a lot of things that. You know, a lot of attributes that you have. It's like, oh, I want to be like.
¿Cómo qué? No, I just want to get compliments.
Okay, you know, confidence, humble, and then you know, family person. So that's all the things that you know I want to.
This machinery doesn't look like something you'd like to replicate too. I'm kidding.
Buffness.
I'm kidding.
So it's those things, and it's true because I think there's a lot of people on social media. They said like, you want to become. You're only gonna follow the leader that you want to become. So when I saw that, and I was like, oh shoot, like I want to be like this guy. So I was like, I'm gonna have to join. And then it looks like the group that you brought in, it's like everyone's in the same lane. So.
Any last tip? Anything you'd like to share to our viewers before we bounce?
Just follow me on IG, AlexM_home loans. If you need help with anything, you know, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you guys out.
Estamos. You guys will see this guy again at the end of the year when he hits his 200 racks. Estamos.